Question: a life insurer is considering adding a valuable surrender option and a policyholder guarantee to a long-term savings product to improve competitiveness. The chief risk officer is concerned about anti-selection and operational complexity, while the head of sales argues that the option will increase market share. The board requires that the product remains within risk appetite and that the ORSA supports long-term solvency. Discuss how you would evaluate this proposal, explicitly addressing product design trade-offs, anti-selection, risk measurement, capital and solvency under Solvency II pillars, and the actuarial control cycle. Your answer must include assumptions risk, monitoring, and at least one relevant reinsurance structure. 25 marks. Section 1. Interpretation and key points. Quick awareness check. The optionality trap: guarantees and surrender options are embedded derivatives. They are most expensive for the insurer when they are most valuable to the customer. Anti-selection, behavioral risk. Policyholders aren't random. They will surrender if interest rates rise elsewhere or exercise guarantees if markets crash. Solvency II framework: you must address Pillar 1, quantitative capital, Pillar 2, ORSA governance, and Pillar 3, disclosure. The control cycle: focus on developing the solution, modeling behavior, and monitoring actual versus expected exercise rates. Section 2. Logic breakdown. 1. The actuarial control cycle specification. Start by identifying the conflict between the head of sales, growth, and the CRO, risk. The problem specification must define the technical price of the guarantee, including the cost of capital. 2. Product design and anti-selection. Explain that a surrender option creates information asymmetry. If the insurer offers a guaranteed return of 4% and market rates move to 6%, healthy and financially literate policyholders will anti-select by surrendering to invest elsewhere. 3. Risk measurement and Solvency II. Pillar 1. The solvency capital requirement, SCR, will spike because the guarantee creates market risk and life underwriting risk, lapse risk. Pillar 2, ORSA. The own risk and solvency assessment is the key tool here. It must show the board that even in a persistent low interest rate or high inflation scenario, the firm remains solvent over the long term. 4. Assumptions risk, model risk. The biggest danger is dynamic lapse assumptions. If the model assumes people surrender at a constant rate but they actually act rationally during a crisis, the model is fatally flawed. 5. Risk response, reinsurance. Suggest a financing reinsurance or quota share structure. This can help manage the new business strain created by the high capital requirements of the guarantee, effectively sharing the risk with the reinsurer. 6. Monitoring, closing the loop. You must track actual versus expected AE exercise rates. If people are surrendering faster than expected, the product may be underpriced. Section 3. High distinction model answer. Evaluating the addition of surrender options and guarantees requires an integrated approach via the actuarial control cycle, as these features introduce complex, nonlinear risks that cannot be managed in isolation. In the specification phase, the actuary must mediate the tension between sales-driven growth and the CRO's prudential concerns. While guarantees improve competitiveness, they function as embedded derivatives that create a price-risk disconnect if the cost of the capital required to back them is not fully reflected in the product's margin. Anti-selection is a primary concern in the product design. A surrender option allows policyholders to exercise their rights against the insurer, typically when market conditions make the guarantee disadvantageous to the firm. This is not random behavior, it is selected by the policyholder based on information asymmetry. For example, if interest rates rise, policyholders may surrender to seek higher returns elsewhere, lapse risk, forcing the insurer to liquidate assets at a loss. This creates a heavy-tailed risk profile where the most severe losses occur simultaneously with adverse market movements. Under Solvency II, the proposal has multi-pillar implications. Pillar 1 requires that the solvency capital requirement, SCR, explicitly accounts for the time value of options and guarantees, TVOG. This often leads to significant capital strain. Pillar 2 is addressed through the ORSA, which must demonstrate to the board that the firm can maintain long-term solvency under various stress and scenario tests, such as a prolonged Japanese-style low-yield environment. Assumptions risk is central here. If the model assumes static lapse rates while actual behavior is dynamic and rational, the ORSA will provide false reassurance understating the true capital need. To mitigate these risks, the firm should consider risk transfer via a quota-share reinsurance structure. This would allow the insurer to share a proportion of the premium and the associated guarantee risk with a reinsurer, reducing the new business strain and the volatility of reported profits. Additionally, the 3 lines of defense must be engaged to manage the operational complexity mentioned by the CRO. The first line must ensure that policy administration systems can accurately track and value these options, while the second line, actuarial, provides robust challenge to the behavioral assumptions used in pricing. Finally, the monitoring phase is critical to closing the control loop. The firm must implement a rigorous, actual versus expected, AE, analysis of surrender and guarantee exercise rates. This feedback must be used to recalibrate the pricing and the ORSA on a regular basis. If monitoring reveals that policyholders are exercising options more frequently than assumed, the board must be prepared to treat the risk by redesigning the product, perhaps by introducing market value adjustments, MVAs, to surrender values, or terminate the product line entirely to protect the firm's long-term sustainability.